hold on, 'cause like today we got KuroKo no basket comparisons part two. I ain't see part one, but like that's like I just but like this popped down. I was like, let me.
Basket is easily one of the best sports animes out right now, and with highlighting so many characters' personalities and skill sets, it's hard not to compare each character in KMB to players who played in the NBA.
Is that Blake Griffin?
KuroKo no Basket is easily one of those who played in the NBA.
Is that Shaq? We could see, bro. He was like a Shaq like player. Maybe like, I mean, you could say, I guess Shaq. I mean, Shaq. I guess.
Now I did this video a while back, and let's just say we have some major improvements to make. So with that being said, these comparisons aren't limited to active players, but it also includes past players as well.
Shaq, Will.
I mainly base these comparisons on these players' skill sets and abilities. If you disagree with any of these comparisons, feel free to comment your opinions down below. Hanami was not only another member of the Uncrowned Kings, but also served as the point guard and captain to Daichi High. Now one of the nicknames that was given to Hanamiya was the Bad Boy, and it was given to him for being literally one of the biggest heads in the show. He was an outright dirty player who would do anything to gain an advantage in the game. But besides him being an extremely dirty player, he has a very high IQ, but it's often overshadowed due to his dirty play. Besides his devious personality, he was still able to possess multiple skills.
I want to say Patrick Beverly would be a good comparison for him. I mean, I was thinking Draymond, but nah, I feel like Pat Beverly would be better. Because like when you hear players talk about Patrick Beverly's IQ, it's really crazy. Like that one clip, who was it? Was it Cat? Of Cat on Paul George's podcast where he's like,
One of the abilities that separated him from others in the show was his defense. Due to his spiderweb power, he was able to analyze the whole court, which allowed him to predict passes and rack up plenty of steals. Now, with not possessing as much offensive skills as other players in the show, he mainly relied on his pretty efficient teardrop shot, which made it harder for players to block his shot. Now, one of the only players that really stuck out to me that fits Hanamiya was none other than Isaiah Thomas. Now with Hanamiya's nickname being the Bad Boy and Isaiah Thomas being a part of a group literally called the Bad Boys is only one of the reasons why this comparison works flawlessly. They both earned the right to that title due to them being notorious for taking part in dirty plays. They can both be seen as guys who are ultra competitive.
Whoa. Also Pat Beverly is Pat Beverly? Don't they call it? I mean, is Pat Beverly a day player though? I'm like, you could always say Draymond, but like Draymond, I don't know. I feel like this is probably a hard take, but I feel like Pat Bev's IQ is better than Draymond's.
And would do anything to win, but skill-wise, this comparison works due to their high basketball IQ and their ability to understand everything that goes on the court. And they both excel defensively with their ability to rack up steals. Aoyama served as a small forward to Rakuzan and the Uncrowned Kings. He's an energetic player who generally loves to compete. He hated losing and also didn't like to be outperformed by his opponents. But in terms of his skill set, Aoyama was easily one of the best ball handlers in the show. He possessed abilities such as lightning dribble, which allows him to dribble the ball at unreal speed. But besides his ball handling, he was also an elite defender. Much like Kagami, he possessed animal instinct, which heightened his overall reflexes. So with taking in his competitive nature,
good handles. Good defensive play. Controls too much. Gary Payton? Well, actually, I haven't really seen Gary Payton's handles. A quick look, something like Jamal Crawford. I don't know. Maybe yes to Jamal Crawford.
And his elite two-way play, the only forward in the NBA that fits Aoyama is none other.
Wait, he's a forward? A good dribbling forward.
Paul George.
Paul George. I could see that. I don't know any more about him. But yeah, I could nah. Yo, what I tell you, I don't know if I would say Paul George, but that's because I'm a Paul George fan. Like 2K, I don't know if y'all played 2K15. Had me like I felt amazing playing like, and bro, I played Paul George jump shot. I be like, it be having, bro, Paul George jump shot be
Skill
having me.
wise, Hayama and Paul George's skill sets are pretty similar. Much like Hayama, as a small forward, PG is one of the best ball handlers in the league. He possesses easily one of the fastest and creative handles we've seen from someone his size and position. Another reason why this comparison works skill wise is due to their elite defense. With having multiple first defensive teams to his name, it's safe to say Paul George, much like Hayama, can be considered an elite defender. Nabuya served as the center to the Uncrowned Kings and Rakuzan. In terms of skill, his character didn't really possess a specific ability that made him good. Skill
The
mainly
Uncrowned Kings were like the generation, like people who were good, but they weren't, because you know, they had the generation of miracles. Uncrowned Kings were people who good, like, what's his name? Tayami? I forgot his name. You know, the power forward for
consisted of playing bully ball and basically being able to outmuscle his opponents. He focused much of his time eating in order to gain a bigger and more powerful frame. He was also a player who deeply cared about the well-being of his teammates. With that being said, if Nabuya was an NBA player, he'd be none other than Steven Adams. Steven Adams
that's a good comparison. A big man, rebounds, and cares about his team. T. Allen might be one of the nicest people for the NBA. I only say
is a solid big who is mainly known for his insane strength. Just like Nabuya, nobody can really body Steven Adams' back. And due to this, Steven Adams was able to take advantage of his opponent's size on both ends of the floor due to their power and their strength. They both also have a soft spot for their team. That's why this comparison fits them perfectly. Bucci served as a shooting guard to both Rakuzan High and the Uncrowned King. Now personality-wise, besides him being uptight at times, he's a player who's pretty chill and relaxed. Now on the show, Mibuchi was a middle school prodigy who never really got his full credit and respect due to the generation of miracles. His skill mainly consisted in his ability to score the ball in different ways, especially when it came to shooting. He was regarded as one of the best shooters in the show, and he proved this by how efficient his three-point shot was. He possessed three main abilities when it came down to creating shots. The first ability was his heaven shot, which allowed him to shoot a high jumping fadeaway. The next shooting ability he had was his earth shot, which allowed him to draw contact while shooting the ball. And the last ability was his void shot, which allowed him to freeze his defender before he shot the ball, which in real life can be caused by moves such as the step back. Now we're taking in
laid back, but I'm not James Harden, Donovan Mitchell. I
his
want to say
ability to
Donovan
create his own shot for himself. The only player that in my opinion fits Mibuchi is James Harden. In terms of their
I mean, yeah, I felt like
personality, they both can be seen as pretty cheerful and relaxed guys when they're not annoyed. But this comparison works mainly due to their shot creating ability. Much like Mibuchi, James Harden specializes in creating space by using step backs to freeze his opponents, much like Mibuchi's void. He's also notorious for gaining contact while shooting, much like how Mibuchi did with his earth shot. They both are elite shooters who have no issue knocking out tough shots.
That's what I was
Yoshinobu served as the starting center and captain of Saren High School, and he was also a part of the Uncrowned Kings. He's a character who could be seen as pretty mature and smart for his age. He could be seen as an extremely good leader, especially with him being someone who we see have genuine love.
It was like I want to say low key, it was crazy, but like a Robin Lopez type player. Like he really was like a Robin Lopez type player. Like I mean, he's always like I would say Kareem
For his team. On the court, he's pretty much an easygoing player until the game picks up and gets intense. But besides his intensity at times, Kiyoshi for the most part is a modest and humble player. Now in terms of his skill and abilities, the first thing I want to talk about is his size. Now for being only 17 years old, Kiyoshi was pretty tall, standing at 6'4", with extremely huge hands which allowed him to rack up plenty of boards. Now his size didn't just help him get rebounds, but it also allowed him to be one of the strongest players in the show. Though he was the tallest player and primarily ran center for Saren, he also had the ability to play make and play.
Not Jokic. I feel like Jokic is a stretch. Who was that other center? I
point
can't
guard.
remember his
With
name.
Saren's like a big man, Kiyoshi can be seen in the show thriving and playing at both positions. With having strength and skill combined, it allowed him to be one of the most unpredictable players in the show. He possessed the power called right postponing. Due to his big hands, he used his power to palm and control the ball with just one hand, which allowed him to make pretty insane passes and make last-second decisions with the ball. Now Kiyoshi, besides being strong and big, still had the ability to step out and
Oh, he's 6'4". Okay, maybe Jokic. 6'4". But if we really want to get into technicalities and like 6'4" size, then they're like a pure point guard ass player. Draymond? No, not
knock
Draymond.
down threes. So the only logical player that fits Kiyoshi would be none other than Nikola Jokic. Now the first thing that makes this comparison work is how humble and modest they are. Jokic, much like Kiyoshi, isn't a player who goes around really boasting about how good he is, but instead lets his game talk. But the main thing that makes this comparison perfect is their skill. If there's an NBA player who, like Kiyoshi, had a big frame and can play both point and center at an elite level, the only player we could really look at is Jokic. With his ability to make insane passes and reads in the heat of the moment, reminds me of Kiyoshi's right of postponement. And Kiyoshi's elite rebounding ability can also be compared to Jokic, who also racks up plenty of boards. They both are bigs who could bang out in the paint, but also step out and shoot threes. If you like these type of videos and want more content like this, please like and subscribe. Also,
Good video. I can see where it come from most parts. I don't think I mean, besides the ones I like can't be with like James Harden, Jokic. Like Jokic, I was feeling that Jokic comparison. Like I was thinking about Jokic, but like I was like, could you really say Jokic? I would think like he might have been like a smaller player because of how good Jokic is, you know. But like, yeah, I could really see Jokic. I was thinking that other European center. I think I saw this one European. I don't know who to. Anyways, you know how it is. You know the drill.
if you want more short form content, follow my TikTok and IG.
Oh, okay.
As always, if you disagree with anything I said, feel free.
Anyways, we could watch part 1 too. I say that for another video. Let's see. How long is part 1?
KuroKo no Basket is easily one of the best sports animes out right now, and with highlighting so many characters' personalities and skill sets, it's hard not to compare each character in KNB to players who played in the NBA. Now I did this video a while back, and let's just say we have some major improvements to make. So with that being said, these comparisons aren't limited to active players, but also includes past players as well. I mainly base these comparisons on these players' skill sets and abilities. If you disagree with any of these,
Oh, I see. I didn't see the part. I don't want it. So it's just his skill sets and ability. It don't matter how good the play is. It's who they play like. The same way how like in drive comparisons, you gonna see some crazy ceilings because they gonna have some crazy drive comparison. But like that's not really like who they could be.
comparisons, feel free to comment your opinions down below. KuroKo.
I was gonna say, when I thought about KuroKo, I thought about Jason Williams. It's not bad, but like you gotta think about a good passer, but like small in there.
Served as
It's not like Chris Paul. I think whatever his name, redhead dude. His comparison could be Chris Paul. Someone who only
reserve forward to Saren's basketball team. He's also known as being a part of one of the greatest teams ever assembled, the Generation of Miracles. He's a reserved character who literally has no presence on the floor. But what makes KuroKo so good is his ability to strictly just play make for his team. Due to him having zero presence on the court, he's able to slip past his defenders and make unique passes. His main skill sets mostly rely on his ability of misdirection, which allows him to push the ball down the court or hit teammates who aren't being defended. Now, although KuroKo's overall game is pretty weak besides his passing, he does have one more value on the court. KuroKo was one of the best at getting steals in the show, and this is mostly because of the fact that he's practically invisible. One last thing
Caruso, Rondo, I don't know. I'm just naming guards at this point. Let me let him cut.
I want to mention is the fact that KuroKo is the perfect sidekick. He's a player who relies on a more dominant player to succeed. With him being the ultimate team player, a great defender, and an elite passer, the only NBA comparison that fits KuroKo is none other than John Stockton.
I was thinking about Stockton too, but I ain't know how.
Stockton is a player who to this day still leads the NBA in all-time assists. Much like KuroKo, Stockton was a player who wasn't too skilled to do much damage individually. But as we saw with him in Utah, with given the right players, he could play to his full potential and lead a team. Much like how KuroKo needed a more dominant force like Kagami to succeed, Stockton relied on Karl Malone.
Kagami comparison would be like Kawhi. Or like, I don't want to say KD, but like a Kawhi player.
The same way. You can even look up real life highlights and compare them to KuroKo and Kagami. The last thing that really sells this comparison is Stockton's and KuroKo's defensive abilities. Both are extremely elite at getting steals for their team.
I feel like Midorima, your go-to would be Curry because he's such a great shooter. But at the same time, I don't know.
Midorima served as the shooting guard to Shitoku in the Generation of Miracles. Now, in my opinion, he's easily one of the most unguardable players in the show, mainly due to his ability to literally launch the.
But like, if Damian Lillard really realistic, because I feel like Damian Lillard is a little athletic, so maybe
far from anywhere. He was a player who didn't really have to play make or do anything else because his shot was so OP. One of the abilities he possesses that's just insane is his ability to literally catch the ball in midair and shoot it. Ultimately, Midorima can catch and shoot the ball at a Hall of Fame level. His three-point shot is effective due to him being able to shoot from anywhere on the court due to his high arc shot. He wasn't only a three-point specialist though, he had one of the best endurance on the show, which allowed him to clamp players up. Now the only rightful comparison for Midorima is none other than Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. Now with Steph and Klay being the two best three-point shooters of all time,
because I was like, endurance,
it's not hard to understand why skill-wise this works perfectly. Klay and Midorima, when they're hot, don't need to take a single dribble to drop your team off. They're both probably the best catch and shooters basketball has ever seen. And with Klay Thompson,
unless we want to talk about Corey Kispert, I'm just saying Kispert's
his ability to not only hit threes but also play lockdown D is another reason why this works. Now for Midorima and Steph Curry, one thing that obviously stands out is their ability to shoot the ball from anywhere. They both possess unlimited range and both also perfected in low look threes. But besides Curry's shooting, they also have insane endurance and can outlast their opponents in game due to having high stamina.
Kisei's Kobe.
Kisei served as
I feel like
small forward to Kaijo High in the Generation of Miracles. He possessed easily one of the most overpowered abilities in the show, and that was his ability to mimic any move, which is one of the main reasons he's as good as he is. The reason why this ability is overpowered is due to the fact that he could copy literally any player's moves that's not better than him, and ultimately make it better and faster. In order for him to copy a better player's moves, he had to take the time to really study and mimic their moves, which naturally made him a student of the game. He's also a player who rarely ever acknowledges someone who he seems is weak. When we first saw him play, we saw how ball dominant he was. It wasn't until later in the show where we saw him start to trust his teammates more. So with all these factors taking place, the only comparison for Kisei in my eyes is Kobe Bryant. Kobe, as it is already considered to be one of the closest replicas of MJ the NBA has ever seen. With his ability to mimic Jordan's play style and even make improvements of his own to the moves he learned like the fadeaway, it's safe to say that if someone in the NBA had Kisei's copy ability, it would be none other than Kobe. They both also can kind of be seen as players who don't really rely on their teammates, especially when we first saw Kisei play. Now another thing that really connects this comparison is the way Kobe and Kisei treat people who they view as weak. Murasaki Bara served as a starting center for Yoza High and the Generation of Miracles.
I would say Will, but that's because he dropped 100. I think that's why I'm thinking Will so much. Because Shaq, Hakeem. Oh, yeah.
He's by far probably one of the biggest and strongest characters in the show. And he's shown this by literally moving about 3 players out the way. And being so tall allowed him to naturally rack up boards, blocks, and dunks pretty easily. Although he had a large frame, he still was a very quick big who knew how to move up and down the court. Now with all this natural talent, you'd think he'd be the best player in the show. But unfortunately, Murasaki Bara was literally too strong that he lost motivation to even fully compete. This caused him to be lazy and not really want to play to his full potential. But skill
Would it be crazy if I said Zion?
He used his power to dominate, and he used moves like Thor's hammer, where he slams the ball violently with two hands. Now, with being easily one of the most dominant players in the show, the only rightful comparison for Murasaki Bara is none other than Shaq. Shaq and Murasaki Bara's main skill set are pretty much exactly the same. Shaq used his unfair size and power to push around weaker opponents, and despite being a giant, he was able to run the floor pretty well. Murasaki Bara's Thor's hammer also looks identical to the type of dunk Shaq did. Now, despite them having all this power and skill, both were seen as lazy players who could have been better if they just worked harder. Either way, the presence was felt on the floor, whether they were trying or not. Now, another player that could fit Murasaki Bara is Wilt Chamberlain. Due to him also being
Hey man, I said both them players. I really cooked.
powered physically and skillfully, and both also put up 100 points in the season.
They really say Will. I don't believe. You think Will actually had like a 48-inch frame? Nah, Will did. They said Will was crazy athletic. I feel like Will's underrated for real because of the era he played in. Because the way they make it sound like Will would dominate this era too. Akasi, yeah, Akatsi. He's Chris Paul.
Akashi served as a Generation of Miracles point guard and team captain. In the show, Akashi has an intimidating and condescending personality. He hated losing and believed that if you took a loss, your life is completely meaningless. He was a character who demanded absolute respect from everyone around him. Although Akashi respected his teammates, he was absolutely insane and didn't respond well to people not listening to him. He possessed abilities like Emperor's Eye, which allowed him to basically read all of his opponent's moves, which allows him to make perfect reads and passes. Akashi's handles were also elite as well. Every time he performed a special ankle break dribble, his opponents 9 times out of 10.
Chris Paul, I mean, yeah, just AI, but like, I think Chris Paul's the best. Or Jamal Crawford. Jason Williams, not AI. I mean, nah.
Fell to the floor. That's why, if Akashi was an NBA player, he'd be none other than Chris Paul. With one of Chris Paul's nicknames being the point guard, it kind of makes sense why he's compared to the ultimate point guard in KuroKo no Basket. Chris Paul is one of the most respected players in the NBA. He was able to gain his respect due to his skill and his good leadership. Another thing that makes this comparison work is their skill. Just like Akashi can read his opponent's moves and make smart plays, Chris Paul is known for making insane reads on both ends of the floor, and they both have extremely good IQ.
And his sandwich and Kagami?
Kagami served as a power forward of Siren High School's basketball team. He was a character who was probably one of the only characters in the show who could compete with the Generation of Miracles.
Cause like, I want to say Kawhi, cause like,
was a player who had raw talent and possessed some real athleticism. In the first part of the show, he mainly relied on his hops to score. He didn't really become a well-rounded player until later in the show.
Giannis would be insane. Like a better way,
which is when we see Kagami actually become an all-around stud. With that being said, if Kagami was an NBA player, he'd be none other than Blake Griffin and LeBron James.
Bron. I don't know about Bron. I see Blake Griffin relying on hops and then Blake slowly develop. Yeah.
KuroKo no Basket, it's clear as day that Kagami's dunking style is a clear replica of Blake Griffin's dunk package. This comparison mainly works due to the fact that early on in the show, Kagami relied on his bounce to score. But later in the show, when Kagami improved his all-around game, he kind of reminds me of a young LeBron. Both Kagami and LeBron were athletic freaks in nature, and much like LeBron, Kagami wasn't an amazing shooter, but he still had the ability to knock down shots.
Oh my gosh, to this day, when I'm gonna roll the clip, when Ami hit the behind the back shot, like when he bent, that shot was so clean.
Omine served as Toe Academy's star forward and was also part of the Generation of Miracles. He was described as a character who started off having a deep love for the game of basketball. His love for the game caused him to train so much that he literally couldn't find anyone to challenge him. This caused him to be lazy.
Jason Williams? Okay. The reason why I say Jason Williams it's because excuse me. It's because I feel like Allen Iverson is the best comparison. But Jason Williams, the reason I'm saying Jason Williams because like street ball. But AI also plays street ball. I think AI is the best.
And even skip practices. But besides his flaw, he was a legit madman on the court. His agility alone put him light years above anyone competing with him. He used his insane speed, balance, and vertical to perform the most outlandish plays. Omine was one of the most skilled players that we've seen in the show, and we can see this by his street ball-like handle, which allows him to get past pretty much anyone. Now combine that with his ability to make any shot from any angle, only tops how good he is. Now with taking his personality and skill, the only comparison for Omine is none other than Allen Iverson and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Both these guys, much like Omine,
I was thinking Kyrie, but like, why didn't I want to say Kyrie? I don't know why I didn't want to say. I don't know why didn't want to say Kyrie, but I was thinking Kyrie Irving. I was like, he could be Kyrie Irving, but dude, I don't even know why. I was like AI, Kyrie.
are known for their ability to freely handle the rock, making them extremely difficult players to stay.
Cause Kyrie really do be hitting those circuit shots, John Wall. Oh my gosh, hold on. I'm geeking too much. We bring up Kyrie and John Wall. Oh my god, two
In front of. Another reason why this comparison works skill-wise is due to their finishing ability. Like Omine,
I think I was mainly solely thinking of Iverson though, because I think on that part where like he said like he felt like there was no I. Cause I feel like AI was just doing stuff on the court because he felt like. Tell me how he lost love for the
Kyrie and AI are known for making the most unorthodox layups. Now personality-wise, AI and Omine can both be compared, and one thing that confirmed this was their lack of motivation to even attend practices. If you enjoyed the video and you want part 2, please get this video to 100
Alright. Now
likes.
this is really the end.